Now, while Gutenberg is getting better, it's still nowhere near good enough to create full websites with intricate designs, so we still need to rely upon tools to allow us to do that. One of the OG tools is Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg from Brainstorm Force, the people behind the Astra theme. Well, you may have heard, or you may not have heard, they're changing the name of that with the release of the version 2. This is now going to be called Spectra. So let's take a little look at what Spectra is, what's in its future, and we'll also take a look at some of the features that have been added into it. Okay, so first of all, this is the free version of Spectra. As you can see, this was last updated 2 days ago. It's formerly known as Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg, so they already go through that branding process, has over 300,000 installations, and has a pretty good reputation for being a solid platform. Well, let's hop over to the little notification, and as you can see here, we've got one more thing, very Apple-esque there. There's a Pro version in the works, and the Pro version is going to bring with it various different additional features, things like dynamic content, which is always a good thing, a full theme builder, which nicely enough is totally agnostic to themes. You don't have to use this with Astra, you can use this with any theme to get that sort of theme building features using Gutenberg-based tools. So that's pretty cool. And there's going to be premium blocks and templates and an advanced workflow, whatever that's actually going to bring with it. But that's not available just yet. And the beta version of Spectra is available. It's a request job. So you're not going to get this without requesting access to it. Okay, so with that being said, let's just jump over quickly to the actual site itself. That'll give us some more information about it. As you can see, there's currently over 6 million downloads for Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg, or now Spectra. So it is a well-respected tool. Let's take a little look at what we're going to get with it. You can see we get 30 plus creative and unique blocks. We could import, tweak and build templates and websites and things like that. Readily designed blocks for faster design. There's also wireframing, which is always a good thing to see if you want to quickly prototype things. You can copy and paste styles. In all honesty, there's nothing inside here that you probably haven't seen in lots of other Gutenberg-based block tools. However, one of the things that Brainstorm Force generally tend to do is not be first to market. They tend to take a look at what the market's doing, see what tools are doing well, and then take a look at what they can take from those to create something that isn't just chock full of things that people don't have any use for, more a case that it's actually filled with things that people really actually want to use. So this is one of the things I do appreciate when it comes to the Brainstorm Force software. Okay, so with that being said, let's just jump over now and take a look at things. First of all, let's see what options we have to customize the whole Spectra experience before we start getting in and actually using it. One of the things I like to see is the fact that instead of having its own entry inside the dashboard, all the settings configuration options are under the settings section inside the Spectra subsection. This just means that it cleans up the whole interface. If we don't want users to see and how access this, we can lock off the settings section. They can't change anything and cause all manner of problems. Always good to see. I wish more plugin developers would actually take that on board and not keep sticking their software slap bang with an icon that doesn't fit into the dashboard and all those kinds of things. So kudos for that side. So once you come into the settings section, you can see you get a welcome. This is going to be an introduction to how to get started using Spectra. If you're new to it, I would probably recommend taking a look at it. I'm sure there's going to be some useful information inside there. You can also see that we've got blocks, and this is where we can go ahead and enable and disable any of the Gutenberg blocks that we do or don't want to use. Always good to see the ability to very easily streamline what we have and what we don't want to use to just make the whole interface a little bit nicer, neater and tidier. As you can see, there's a lot of different options inside here. I've got everything enabled at the moment, but you can see they're also broken down to the various different category sections. So SEO, for example, form-based items, social media icons, post information, those kinds of things. Good to see all that, and you can activate all or deactivate all if you want something that's just quick and easy. Going into the settings, and this is where we can configure some of the additional options now for Spectra, just fine-tune the interface and how things work and optimize things and so on. So under the editor options, you can see we can set the default width for the actual container when you drop that inside there. We've got the ability to collapse panels, copy and paste styles. If you want to disable that, you can do. Asset generation, if you need to, you can regenerate your files if you have any issues, some weird glitches and so on. Templates. If you're handing this off to a client and you don't want them to have access to the templates, you can disable the templates button to avoid them getting into that and causing problems. Version control just allows you to quickly and easily roll back to a previous version if you're having problems with a new version, and you can go ahead and enable the beta feature, which is more when the final version of this is released, then you kind of have the beta releases and they'll be notified inside there. Very akin to what you have if you're using Elementor. Performance, you can see we can now go ahead and configure this to only load selected fonts. We can have it to load Google Fonts locally, which is great for not only the speed of your website, but also for the GDPR type of things where there's been legal cases where people have been fined for using Google Fonts for information that's been sent back and forth via the IP address and relevant information. You can also choose to preload those local fonts to again help you speed things up. Your block settings then, you can see if you were using Google Recapture for your forms, you can drop in your information for the V2 or V3 version of Google Recapture. And finally, you can also use this to create a coming soon or maintenance page and then have that active on your site to stop people viewing the site while it's in development, or controlled directly inside Spectra. Okay, so that's all the settings. Let's go ahead now and take a look at open a page up and see what's going on. Let's add a new page. Now I'm using the Astra theme in this example, but you don't need to. You can use pretty much any theme that you want, so that's always good to know. But I already had Astra installed, and I thought, well, I'll just drop it in this, see if there's anything nice, kind of combines the two, but in all honesty, it works agnostically. Okay, so let's just call this Spectra. There we go. We'll just save our draft. And okay, so the first thing you can see at the top is going to be our template kit. So let's quickly take a look inside there. Let's open this up, and as you can see, things are broken down into 3 different sections. You've got your pages, which are your full templates for an overall page and possibly a collection of pages for an overall site. So for example, you can see this plant shop, there's 3 templates, the meditation course, 4 templates, outdoor adventures, 5 templates, and so on. Click to open one up, we can get a preview of what it looks like and also the various different templates that you have as part of that. You can go ahead and preview this, and you can import the template or templates if you want to. The patterns are basically just a collection of various different layouts for different sections. So headers, heroes, call to actions, those kinds of things. And again, all broken down on the left-hand side. You've got dark and light versions. So again, if you're coming from a tool like Elementor and you've used the library inside there for the various different starting designs and so on, this is going to be very familiar to you. And finally, you've got your wireframes, which, as its name would suggest, is a simplified cut-down design that only features placeholder text, placeholder images, and so on, ready for you to go ahead and set this up to create a rough outline of what a page or site would look like. Great for quick prototyping. And once again, you can see on the left-hand side, we've got dark versions, light versions. We've also got things broken down to the various different categories. So if you're looking for hero, there's your hero. Okay, so let's just cancel back out of this. And let's go ahead and take a look. Let's open things up, and you can see at the beginning now, there's all our Spectra widgets, blocks, whatever you want to kind of call them. And you can see there's a couple of new features inside here. For example, the container. This is a new feature. There's various other ones inside here. But again, if you've used any other kind of block building tool, whether that's things like cadence blocks, or you've used generate blocks, or any of those kinds of tools, this is all going to feel very, very familiar to you. Your container is a nice, simple way of being able to group your content together. And let's open that up to start off with, because there's a couple of things I want to show you which are very, very useful when working with this. Let's add a container in. This now gives us a selection of 12 different layouts, predefined layouts, which you can use any of these, or you can just simply choose the first single column, single row kind of layout, and then design to your heart's content from there. So let's do that. Let's just select that. We'll click, and you can see that now drops in the placeholder. If we take a look on the right-hand side, now this is where all the options are for this specific block. If you don't see this, easy way to access this is whenever you've got any of these little sort of blocks open, you can simply click on the 3 dots and choose Show More Settings, use the keyboard shortcut, or you can use the little cog icon in the top right-hand side. Now things are broken down into general, style, and advanced, and again, this is very akin to using a tool like Elementor. You're going to feel very familiar and very at home with this, other than the fact it's stuck on the right-hand side now instead of the left-hand side. So if we take a look in general, you can see this gives us general control over, in this example, the container. You can go over to the style, which gives us control for the styling over the container. And finally, you've got advanced, which gives us things like display conditions, responsive conditions. So you can set up where this can be displayed on various different devices. So for example, you come into display conditions, you can set things up on there based upon the user state, logged in, logged out, user roles, various different things. Your browser, depending upon what browser they're using. Good if you want to target things like mobiles, or you have specific quirks for different types of browsers. You can target various different things. And finally, you can do the same kind of thing on an operating system level. If we go ahead and take a look at the responsive conditions, this allows us to take this particular container or anything that's inside it and set up whether we want to show it or hide it on desktops, tablets, and mobile. So always good to see these kind of options. And finally, we have advanced, where we can drop in things like a HTML anchor if you have a single page and you want to have anchors on there, or if you want to apply additional CSS classes to this particular block element. One of the things that I think makes this really, really useful is the fact that this container has flex properties. If you open that up, this now gives you full control over the Flexbox. You can see we've got various different devices as well, so we can switch between desktop, tablet, and mobile. We can set up the normal options for flex properties, your direction, your alignment, your justify, your wrap, those kinds of things. So full control over that when it comes to design. Great to see that inside here as well. Style, pretty much self-explanatory. Your background colors, your borders, your box shadows, shape dividers, and spacing, and so on. What is useful, though, is when it comes to any of these and you want to change things like your colors and so on, you can go ahead and you can set those up using your colors that are part of the global colors from your theme. And it will pick up the theme colors if it's using global colors. Not restricted to Astra, my understanding. It will pick up most themes global colors. So great to see that. So if we open this up, you can see there's my color scheme for this particular design, and we can just pick and choose any of those, or we can go ahead and create our own normal custom color. So all those things, all those bases have been covered for most use cases. So let's take a look at how we would do something like create a hero section. So we can take a look at some of the different block elements and how you would make things up. Take a look at some of the controls, those kinds of things. Give you a kind of feel for how this works. And if you are accustomed to working with normal block tools for Gutenberg, this is all going to feel very, very familiar. But it's a nice, clean, simple and straightforward interface with all the key options you want right next to where you need them. So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at this particular container. First thing you want to do is come to the sizing section on there. You can see we can choose to have the container width to be full. We can have it to be boxed, which in this example would be the 1200 pixels, or you can have a custom value. And you can also control then the content that sits inside the container. So you might want your container full width, but you may want your content to be boxed. Great for things like hero sections and so on. So let's take a look at that. Let's set our minimum height. We're going to set this to be something like 700 pixels. You can see now that gives us a nice, clear, simple visual representation. When we hover over it, you can see we get this nice blue outline. So everything is really easy to see with what you're doing. Let's go ahead now into our styles. And we're going to go into our background. And inside there, we're going to set our background to be an image. We'll select an image from our media library. We'll grab this one and we'll click on select. You can see that now drops the image inside there for us. We can go ahead if we want to and control exactly the positioning of this. We can set whether it's going to be scrolling or fixed. Very easy to do. You can see fixed, as its name would suggest, scrolling. We'll scroll with your page. Again, all things you're accustomed to. Whether you want to set your repeat, your cover, if you want to apply an overlay. So let's apply an overlay to this. We'll say a color. We'll choose our colors from our global colors. We'll select black from there. And we'll just adjust the opacity to something like that. Really quick, really easy. So now we can go ahead and add some items inside here. So let's click to add a new item. For this example, let's just choose something like, let's try the heading. Actually, let's go for the call to action. Let's just choose that. We'll select that. Now you can see that's gone underneath. That's fine. We can just come back over and we can just position that inside our container just by dragging it to the right. And you see that now is inserted inside there. This then leads us on to some of the options we have when you insert any of these block elements. You can see we have presets. So if you're coming over from a tool like Stackable, this is going to feel very, very familiar to you. You can choose between predefined layouts. At the moment, there are only a couple of presets. You know, Stackable does definitely have a lot more of these options available to you. But I'm assuming that once this releases, or maybe in the Pro version, you'll have more options available to create much quicker layouts using these presets to speed up the whole development cycle. But once you've done that, you can then control things as you see fit. You can adjust the alignment of your items. You can stack them on nothing, on desktop, on tablets, on mobile. So you can easily set up how you want this to be displayed on screen. You can set your heading tag. So for example, this is going to be the call to action on the hero section. So H1 is fine. You can set your content width inside here. You can customize your button. So you can see we can specify whether this is going to be top align or middle align. We can set what text we want. So let's just say there we go. So we've now adjusted that. We can apply a link to this if we want to. We can go ahead and choose from 72 different icons. So let's see if we've got something to do with a home. Let's choose that option. And there we go. We've now added that in. And you can configure this when you want it before the text, after the text, the spacing. You can add additional buttons in, all the things that you'd expect to do inside here. So that's really easy. We can come to the text, for example, go over into our style, and now we can configure the heading, description, button, spacing, and so on. So let's just quickly go into the typography and the colors for this. So we'll just set this to be white, one of our global colors. Same for the description. We'll come in and set that to be white. And we'll change the typography on there. Let's just increase the weight of this to maybe 600. So you can see we can easily adjust all this, and we can override any of the pre-built settings have been set up as part of your global styles, those kinds of things. So you can see, really easy to start building things out, and full control over everything. It's really easy to do. So let's go ahead now and add another container in. This time we'll set this to be 3 blocks. As you can see, it works in exactly the same way. So now we can select this, and we can go ahead, we can use our Flexbox properties if we want to. So we might want to set this to be horizontal or vertical, however we want to do it. You can see it can all be done directly inside here. Let's set that back to what it was. Let's just drop a couple of images inside here, just so we've got some basic sort of layouts. What we can do is, again, we can come up and choose the plus. And what we can do is say, let's just browse all. And from there, we want to grab something like the info box. Let's select that. Drops in some basic information, but we've got, again, a selection of presets. We can quickly and easily use those to set our basic styling up, get it roughly where we want it to be. You can also enable and disable the icon. You can choose to have images inside here. You can do basically whatever you want within reason. So let's enable the icon stroke image. We'll set it to be an image. We can select an image from our collection. So we'll grab this one. We'll hit select. As you can see, that now comes in looking a little bit small, not really what we want it to be. We can change this over to something like medium, and you can see it'll make it a little bit bigger, but not what we want it to be. So let's hop over to styles, and you can see icon image, and we can just take off the custom width, and that will then kind of pick up the standard width of the container based upon whether you choose the medium, the thumbnail, and so on. So let's set this to be full size. There we go. That now looks considerably better. Let's just say I'm happy with that. So what I can do now is I can just add that in. So I can just add another one of those in. We'll just select this, come to our list view, and we'll just duplicate that twice. Then we'll reposition that where we want those to be in the relevant containers. And then go ahead and just simply change the images on each one of these. So we'll just replace the image. Choose this one. Finally replace the image on the third one. And there we go. So you can see it's very easy to do. We can even go ahead and still change those styles, and it still respects what we choose. So you can see it's not using the image. I see not using the icon. It's using the image. All very, very simple and straightforward. And then if you want to just change things like your styling. So for example, we may say we go ahead and adjust the styling on here. We'll set our title, and we'll just choose a different color. We'll go for this yellow color. Looks terrible, but you kind of get the picture. And we'll go for our description, and we'll adjust the typography on there. We'll set the font size to be something like, actually let's go for 14 so we can see the difference. So now that we've changed a few things, what we can do is we can select this first info. We can choose the little paintbrush, and we can copy our style. We can then select our second info box, click, choose paste style. Same with the third one, paste style. Really, really quick, simple, and easy to do. So if we head back over now and take a look at the blocks, let's just quickly run through some of the blocks that are in there that I think make up the whole process of building sites quick and easy. Now, some of these are going to be new, but most of them are already kind of coming over from Ultimate Addons for Gutenberg. But it's nice to see things like table of contents, which is something that I use a lot myself. You also got your post grid masonry, a post carousel, all very, very simple, pulls in from the normal WordPress loop. If you've got custom post types, you can link those inside here, all those kinds of things. So straight out of the box, Spectra, when it's released, is a pretty solid tool. It's free, which is a good thing. However, I think once the Pro version comes out, that's where things are going to be much better. The free version gives you plenty of tools to get the basic job done, but when you want to get into creating more advanced sites with dynamic content, those kinds of things, the Pro version is where I think the real power is going to come into it. How it stacks up in comparison to some of the other tools, like I say, like things like Stackable, like Cadence blocks and so on. For me, I like block kits that are well coded, easy to use, have the features that I need, easy to customize, respect my theme's global styling just because it makes my life considerably easier. But I do want to see those dynamic conditions. I want to see dynamic content. The theme builder, I think, is going to be really, really useful. But overall, I think once this is released, if you're looking for a free tool that allows you to get an awful lot done using Gutenberg, I think you should check out Spectra. Link will be in the description below so you can take a little look. But as always, what are your thoughts on this? Do you like Ultimate Addons for Gutenberg? Are you excited for what Spectra brings to the table? Or do you just think it's just a natural revision of what's already out there? As always, all the applicable links are down below. My name's Paul C. This is WPTuts. And until next time, take care.